Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web. Today, I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And I've got to say, this Raw was fantastic. Not for the actual show, not for any of the content of the 3 hours, but because of Brooklyn. I loved you at TakeOver, and I love you even more now. This crowd did not relent. If they hated something, they let you know it. If they appreciated something, they let you know it. And let me tell you something, guys. I learned tonight that a crowd can make everything. Because let's keep in mind, let's keep perspective. This was the go-home show, the go-home Raw, before Wrestlemania this Sunday. And I wouldn't say this show was atrocious, but it did not pack the punch that a go-home show before your biggest show of the year should have. And I really feel like the crowd, definitely in some large parts for me, carried this show. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
Dude, I don't even know what to say anymore. I really, really was hoping that tonight they would give us something that we can work with, something to really get us like, oh yeah, WrestleMania is going to be awesome. And for a lot of people, they did that in the first segment of the night, but even after that, for those people, they did nothing.
Exactly. I mean,
and I agree with you too, that Brooklyn was phenomenal. I'm going to go ahead and say, just looking at the evidence that we've been presented with, the last month of shows, the 4 Raws leading up to WrestleMania, we've seen Philly, Pittsburgh, and Chicago in the last 3 weeks, plus now Brooklyn tonight, and Brooklyn blew all of those other hardcore cities out of the water.
I think Brooklyn is becoming my favorite city that wrestling events are hosted. I know, like, Chicago used to be, like, the end-all, be-all. Hell, John Cena even cut a promo dubbing Chicago a wrestling town.
Well, and Brooklyn's, you know what? It was, and then CM Punk retired, and they stopped caring about the product.
Right.
So they don't even show up anymore. Like, Chicago has almost become like a mark town, like frickin' Corpus Christi, except they're a little louder.
Right. But Brooklyn, man, They were packing that heat, literally and metaphorically, depending on what you presented. Dude, let's get right into the first segment, because this is going to be interesting. Heat of the night. There was something so incredibly bad on this show, we gave it its own video, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit more later, with Eva apparently getting on WrestleMania, which that sentence pains me to say. And there's the laugh. Guys, if you could only know how much Ashton has been laughing since that revelation. And it's infectious. I think it's the only thing that's kept a liquor bottle away from my mouth is that laughter. There's a pure quality to it. But, Ashton, I have, like, a ton of nitpicks in the show, not even in the way, like, oh, I've got a list and we're going to run through them, but, like, I'm sure I'll have complaints, like, when we talk about the show, but as far as full-blown heats of the night go, really right now, maybe because my brain is just so scrambled from everything we got tonight, but right now only one comes to mind. You actually had the balls on your go-home show. Actually, make that two, because I remembered a complaint I had at the beginning of the show. You actually had the balls, though, this is the big one, to more or less do the same segment twice. You had the Authority open up the second hour, because that's so much more bearable than them opening up the show. They did their whole thing. Roman came out. He tried to start stuff. Triple H retaliated, which, by the way, I even tweeted tonight that I find it hilarious that they try and create this dramatic atmosphere for Roman being assaulted, and yet the crowd does not give a shit. And then, knowing how wonderful that went, you actually make an announcement that your main event more or less is going to be the Authority finishing the address that they tried starting at the top of the second hour. That's fucking laughable. I mean, it really is. Like, there's no creativity, no ingenuity, no passion there. And then I'm not going to, put all my eggs in one basket. We're not going to talk about that segment here. Because, I mean, there's just going to be so much laughter, I'm sure, and so much to say that I'll save that. But yeah, I mean, just really, you could tell they just did not care. Let's just do the same segment twice. So that's my first heat of the night. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
Can I just say,
Yeah.
and I started cracking up when I first realized it while you were talking, so I'm sorry if you guys ended up hearing me laughing while John was talking. It was distracting, but the fact that the WWE thought, we'll do the same segment twice, but the second time, the crowd is going to love it because Roman is going to do a dive over the top rope.
Yeah.
That was their trump card.
And do you want to let these fine people know how that was received?
You still suck! You still suck!
So it's literally like the crowd read the mind of WWE and they just noped the ever-loving shit out of it.
Yeah, and just this idea, too, that, oh, these marks will cheer for anyone that does flippy shit. Let's have Roman do a dive.
It's like this crowd actually managed to synchronize, pulling their pants down by their ankles and taking a shit, which is incredibly impressive, I might add.
But dude, that's the thing too, is like it was a loud chant. Like they couldn't even get Y2 Jackass straight with AJ Styles leading them in the chant. But when it comes to telling Roman that he still sucks, they sound like a goddamn choir.
And there's your TWitWoW soundbite right out of the gate, folks. But second heat of the night, which I'm kind of waffling. Is it a heat of the night or is it a nitpick?
Don't I get to have a heat of the night?
Oh, well, yeah, we usually do volleyball. Let me just ask, though, before you even go specifically into your first one. Is it a full roster or is it just one? How many you got tonight? How much are you packing?
I don't know, 2 or 3, something like that.
Oh, my God. All right. I want to hear what your first one is.
Yeah, the first one is you have WrestleMania coming up this Sunday and you want to hype it up, and yet you have a bunch of people that are fighting each other at WrestleMania pinning each other.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, Sami Zayn has never pinned Kevin Owens before in his entire WWE career until tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that that's kind of sunk in for me, I really don't like it because I feel like a babyface the way that Sami Zayn should, and I want to emphasize should be presented, note NXT, him pinning a heel like Kevin Owens should be, even though I know WWE doesn't give a shit, it should be a huge fucking deal.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is Owens is the champ.
Right.
And Owens just got pinned on the go-home show to the show where he's defending his title against the person that pinned him and a bunch of other people, right?
Right.
So, literally, I feel like every single match tonight involved people that are facing each other at WrestleMania. Paige versus Emma, they're facing each other in a tag match on Sunday, and there was a clean finish to that as well. I mean, clean in that no disqualifications or shenanigans, but Lana did get a kick in while the ref was distracted. So I guess you could, say that might be an excuse. But even then, all of the players that had a part in that finish are going to be in the match on Sunday. So it could happen again on Sunday. You have Kofi Kingston versus Alberto Del Rio. Kofi wins clean with a roll-up. You have Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. Charlotte pins Becky clean. And the worst thing to me is that on Friday, Sasha pinned Charlotte clean. So you have your women's champion now losing on the way to WrestleMania. The only match on this show, or matches, I should say, that didn't have some kind of an element where somebody who was facing someone else at WrestleMania was involved in a clean pinfall, ruining their WrestleMania match. Zack Ryder versus Chris Jericho, and Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel versus The Big Show and Kane, which actually ended in a DQ anyway.
Yeah, I mean...
There were 7 matches on this show, and 5 of them... Oh, you know what? I take that back. Kalisto versus Connor also happened. Props to the WWE for having an actual squash-style match on their show.
Yeah, really. Because
guys, we do give props when they're deserved.
Because I noticed a lot of people were saying how many, non-finish or, very quick matches seem to take place on this show. Yeah. And I'll tell you another complaint that I saw that kind of ties into yours. And in fact, it's funny because I feel like mine kind of complements yours a little bit. And then I saw this complaint from a lot of people. Again, kind of going back to doing the 2 segments twice. It's funny how WWE just has no spark of creativity. Like, to give an example, one thing that I saw tonight that really resonated with me, you've got the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, right?
Right.
And how do they always hype Battle Royals? Get everybody in the ring at once, brawling with each other.
Yep.
Like, it's the same shit. And really, as far as you go, like everybody eating pinballs, that's already bad enough for a Mania, which heads into what I'm going to classify ultimately as a nitpick, because I feel like Heat of the Night would be a little bit too harsh. I really didn't like, and I can say this for more than one match now, I don't like all the physicality that happens for the big marquee Mania matches. In fact, again, to give praise, the only segment that I think really did right in upholding that code was Ambrose Lesnar, which I was honestly quite shocked by, but I really loved how they handled that. In fact, I'd have to say, being completely serious and sincere and not looking at something for its comedic value, that segment was probably my favorite all night, personally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But, I mean, you've got Shane McMahon and The Undertaker, who admittedly have an enjoyable promo exchange. You know, I got into it a little bit. And then you have them, like, brawl all around, and then here's what kills me, because fine, you have a little skirmish maybe, and then security breaks it up. I could have dealt with that. You had Shane do one of his dives. Yeah. And to me, like, and I know I'm going to be in the minority here probably, you know, with our audience, and that's cool, but, like, for me, as much as I enjoyed it on one hand, if I'm really being analytical and I'm being critical, I don't think that's the best way to promote a show. Because I feel like Shane, first of all, he's like 46. Second of all, he hasn't been in the ring in years. And third, like, everybody associates him with his crazy bumps. Now, is WrestleMania going to be crazier? Oh, you freaking know it. The guy's insane. He's probably going to do something off the cell for all we know. Yep, but it doesn't change the fact, it doesn't change the fact, though, that you kind of rob us of that imagery on a microcosmic scale when you have him do it off the top rope through the announce table. Because now we should have been anticipating his crazy bumps. We should have been anticipating him taking that leap of faith. And now I guess we'll still anticipate it, but it's not just anticipating the leap of faith as a whole. It's just anticipating the leap of faith from a higher distance. And, you know, I don't really agree with that. I think there was way too much physicality between those two. Triple H and Roman Reigns, my God. I mean, how many times are you two going to brawl on TV when we know that the outcome at Mania is more than likely going to be Roman Reigns regaining the WWE Championship, and they're still trying to get Roman over as a babyface? You know, it's not clicking with me, man. I mean, again, this is the go-home show, and it was good for all the wrong reasons, but if you're getting me hyped for Mania, I don't really think they moved the needle all that much for me. I mean, if anything, my hype for Mania is more morbid because I'm wondering how violently they're going to reject the main event.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if anything, my hype for Mania went down tonight because I feel like we saw most of what we're going to see at Mania. We saw a crazy Shane bump. You know, Sami Zayn beat Kevin Owens. Becky and Charlotte had their match, and Charlotte got the win on that because of Ric Flair. You know, a lot of stuff like that. It's not good.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's another thing, too, to go back to your point about, like, all these wins and stuff. Why even in a triple threat would you have, like, all these one-on-one matches with decisive finishes, dirty, tainted or not? Because, you know, I know Ric Flair did, like, the trip of Becky Lynch and stuff, but, like, you had definitive conclusions. Why? You know, as much as I revel in the thought of seeing, you know, Sasha beat Charlotte like she did on SmackDown, you know, because Sasha Banks for life, right. It doesn't change the fact, like, it takes away from the match. And see, to me, I don't know, maybe I'm just old and in the way, because I thought it was a fundamental rule of promoting wrestling and building wrestling, having anticipation. I feel like WWE was like, screw anticipation, we've got to make people really see that WrestleMania is going to be awesome, you know? But I feel like you could have done better reining that in, no pun intended, and not giving all these definitive conclusions. So I don't know. But anyway, what's your second heat of the night?
Oh, man. You know, I've got a lot to pick from, and I didn't honestly want to make this a heat of the night, but it needs to be addressed, right?
Okay.
The WWE still doesn't get it, man, do they?
What exactly don't they get? Because, I mean, again, there's a laundry list that we could pick from. So.
No, just the idea that they can't make the crowd get behind someone that the crowd doesn't want to get behind.
Yeah, and you know what? That's why I'm even more proud of Brooklyn for choosing that chant in particular, because I don't think it'll drive the point. To any reasonable person, it would have driven the point home, but you're dealing with Vince and Kevin Dunn, and so it won't. Because I have to believe, Ashton, now again, maybe this is just my naivete, maybe it's just my optimism, but I have to believe, even though Triple H probably won't explicitly say anything, he had to head to the back tonight after hearing that and saying, we're fucked. Because, like, knowing how he runs NXT and knowing that he actually seems to listen to crowd response, how mortified does that man have to be? I mean, yeah, he's in the Mania main event most likely, because I don't see Shane and Taker main eventing. I could be wrong. He is the world champion, all that stuff. But even if you want to, like, get all the jokes of Triple H's ego and stuff out of your system and just focus on the man, the performer, he's just probably thinking, I'd have a better chance getting a broom over if I was wrestling that than Roman Reigns.
Sad but true. Sad but true.
He is probably looking at this and just thinking, Jesus Christ, what an uphill climb. Like, what did I sign up for? Because here's the thing. I know some people were saying, oh, Triple H's promo bored me tonight. And yeah, I actually thought the second half was more tedious simply because they were doing it again. I thought the first time around, it was still quality work from Triple H.
Dude, like, that's the thing, though, is, like, my first response is, well, I mean, it might have bored you, but if anything, that's a good thing because you're supposed to hate him. But
right.
It does, like, he could literally go out into the ring with a gigantic birthday present wrapped in wrapping paper, and he could take the little bow off the top, and he could take the wrapping paper off, and he could open the box, and it could be a toilet, and he could sit on it and literally take a 15-minute dump with live commentary in the middle of the ring, and then Roman Reigns' music could hit and the crowd would still boo him.
Yeah, I was even getting ready to say, like, if you had two friends watching this show in the crowd tonight, and Triple H came out of the ring, and he just beat the shit out of one of the friends there. And Roman Reigns came out, and he actually made the save. I guarantee you the friend that got the shit beat out of him would still fight with everything to regain just enough consciousness to tell Roman, you're still a piece of shit. Yeah. Like, this guy cannot win. He just cannot win. And the worst part is WWE refuses to recognize that, which I think is detrimental on all levels. Yep. You know, I you know what the funny thing is, like, we've seen Roman give interviews in the past, and he gave one very recently saying, oh, I don't care about that reaction, I care about the kids, whatever. Like, he is such a natural douchebag. And as a man that loves douchebags, believe me, folks, it is killing me seeing this potential go to waste every week.
As a face, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's horrible. And see, like, I'm not even saying anymore.
You know you're in bad shape when there are more Byron Saxton chants over the course of any given night than there are Roman Reigns chants.
Oh my God, that's right. That happened. That fucking happened. Yeah. Byron Saxton is more over than Roman Reigns. Now, I think Byron Saxton is grossly underappreciated and abused by his coworkers.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact, like, holy fuck, WWE, do you watch the product? I mean, you do so many script rewrites, I don't even know if it pains you to watch the product back on the script that you finally chose. But good God, do it sometime, especially tonight, because Roman was not received in the slightest.
No.
I just, oh my God. And, you know, it's one thing to say this and that about Roman, but it's not even really about Roman anymore for me. Like, it is really getting disturbing, because we always knew WWE was bad and their insistence about things. But to know that this is WrestleMania, this was the go-home show, and either they thought, oh, we did a good job, or even worse, we'll get them next time. Like, oh my God, it hurts to think about. It really hurts to think about. Do you have any more heats tonight? Because I used up my roster, so I don't know if you have any more that you want to go through.
You know, I think I'm all out, but I'm sure we'll come up with more stuff as the night goes on, which sucks.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, the original intent of Heat of the Night was get the bad out of the way first, so that the rest of the review is nice and smooth and all positive. But man, when the show's this bad, like, I don't even know. Well, let's just move on, man.
I agree. All right, let us get right into our Monday night Raw. Yeah.
Why did The Undertaker not address Vince McMahon calling him his bitch last week?
Well, didn't he kind of, when he said Vince's blood may potentially be on my hands? Because
that's just him saying he might beat Vince up, but that's not actually directly addressing the fact that Vince...
Yeah, it's not directly addressing it, but
that's good enough for you?
Not good enough for me. I'm just saying it in a roundabout way. He probably addressed it that way. That's probably what they intended it as.
All right.
Then again, this is also the same people that think they can get Roman Reigns over, so what the fuck do I know?
Yeah. All right, man. Let's let it go.
All right, let us get right into our Monday Night Raw review. And to my partner's point, we open up with The Undertaker because I thought it was very intelligent of WWE to want to kill the first half hour of the show with the entrance alone. That's smart. Let the pain go quickly, I guess. But yeah, Taker comes out, and I will say this in all sincerity. Really loved how respectful Brooklyn was to The Undertaker. Like, I'm sure I could have criticism about it, like, oh, this is problematic for the match because there's no definitive heel or this, that, or the other, and that all still stands and it all still has merit. But in that moment, because I know the last few times it just seems like Undertaker's promos will get what chance or this and that, it was great seeing a crowd just be like, you know what, this is your ring, this is your time. So, big ups, Brooklyn. You really were fantastic tonight on all levels.
They were, yeah. Brooklyn was amazing tonight.
Yeah, and Undertaker, more or less says, like I was saying, I already told Vince that the blood of his son is on his hands, but Vince's blood may be on mine. And this WrestleMania, he actually starts the promo with a proclamation. He says, this WrestleMania will not be my last, which gets a roar from the crowd. Like, holy fuck. It actually is kind of endearing to see that Undertaker is still this over in 2016.
Yeah, I had the same exact thought, man. It's like, yeah, we might say sometimes that he's, he doesn't have it anymore, or that he should have retired a few years ago during the end of an era thing or whatever, but when you're still that over, I'm not going to try and tell you how to live your life.
I mean, the biggest compliment that I can give Brooklyn is that their reaction to this whole thing got me more hyped for this Hell in a Cell than WWE's writing has. Because they ate this shit up. I mean, even despite my grievances with it that I've already aired, like, they were so into this. And then, Shane comes out eventually, and he says, I'm fighting to win, you're fighting not to lose. Clear difference there.
I love that line, dude.
Yeah, Shane really brought it tonight. I will say, I think Shane really tried to keep his fire going, and I think he did successfully. I think both guys, that they did great work mic-wise. It's just I thought the physicality just got a little bit excessive for me. And yeah, pretty much saying, this is about my legacy. I'm going to control Raw. Everything's going to change. And then Undertaker, he says, you better watch your mouth. I think he said bitch boy, not rich boy. I know that was
dude, I even have in my notes that he said bitch boy, but I feel like he meant to say rich boy.
Best botch ever.
Yeah, it's like that one stand-up special from Russell Brand where someone emailed him angrily calling him bitch boy.
Yeah. And, these guys just keep trading barbs, and then we have our brawl, like I said. And I will say, too, that they kind of, I don't want to say salvaged it, but I did like that after Shane's elbow drop, after he hit Undertaker kind of awkwardly with a television monitor in the skull twice, he gets the elbow drop, but then Taker does sit up. Like, I actually feel like that was a good move, because we need to know the stakes are so high, and Shane is facing the Undertaker at Hell in a Cell. If Taker had stayed down, I'm not saying he's a walk in the park to beat, but he does seem like a little bit of a lesser threat. But by him sitting up, it tells Shane, well, I guess I definitely do have to dive off the cell now if I want to win. Yeah. So, yeah, good stuff there. I mean, I enjoyed this segment, but I did have my misgivings with the post-promo brawl. I mean, what were some of your thoughts on this, Ashton?
Like I said, my favorite line from this whole thing was Shane's line about how I'm fighting to win, you're fighting not to lose. That got me. The bitch boy thing was hilarious because it felt like a botch. But then it's funny because like this entire feud has just been Shane and Undertaker yelling back at each other like, you're a bitch. No, you're a bitch. No, you're a bitch. That's the whole thing. That's all it is.
Yeah, I will say, too, when you put it like that, there really isn't much depth to this, is there?
No, it really is just, calling each other bitches and Taker being like, I'm going to beat you, and then Shane being like, I'm going to kill myself and beat you, and then Taker being like, you can kill yourself, but it's not going to be enough, and that's it. Like, this is the worst build to an Undertaker feud in years.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, it's just like, Shane being like, yeah, I really made my point to the Undertaker tonight. I'm feeling so good. Shane, you've always been your daddy's bitch. Motherfucker. And then they just that.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm fighting to win. You're fighting not to lose. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to put my heart and soul on the line to win this match. And the Taker just like, yeah, but you're a bitch. Oh!
Oh my goodness, yes. All right, I really have nothing else to say about this if you want to move on.
Okay, up next was our first match of the night, Zack Ryder versus Chris Jericho.
Oh my god, my pain.
Dude, both of them were on Raw tonight, Zack and Emma.
Yeah, they are.
Wow.
But yeah, I love heel Jericho. I mean, let me just start by saying that. He is like, I didn't think heel Jericho could get any better than his work with Punk, and I'd still say Punk heel Jericho, like his whole I'm gonna get Punk to drink work is still my favorite. But this whole insecure Jericho is gold.
Yeah.
Fucking gold. Because he's all just like, shut up, idiots! And he just gets so sensitive. I feel like Chris Jericho is the manifestation of the writers' reactions every time Roman Reigns gets rejected.
Dude, and I love, too, that after the match was over and Jericho finally decided, that's it, I'm done. First of all, he throws a 1998 WCW Y2J style tantrum, slamming the chair up against the ring posts and stuff. But then, when he's getting ready to tell AJ that he accepts the match, he says, do you really want to go one-on-one with the best in the world? And then a fan goes, CM Punk! And Jericho goes, shut up! I loved that. Oh, I love it so much. But yeah, sure. So then Jericho does accept. So they're having a match with no stipulation. So it's just the fourth match.
Yeah. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
It is.
Because, Zack Ryder does get the win. He does get the win. Oh, God.
Oh.
And, yeah.
It sounded like you were going to get, like, indigestion from that.
I think I might. I think I have really bad acid reflux, but that aside, Ryder gets the cradle, and it's so funny what a far more talented Neville being injured can do for a guy's career. Because now all of a sudden, Ryder's not only on Mania, but he's standing tall on SmackDown after hitting a Rough Rider on Kevin Owens, which made me want to stick very sharp knives into my eyes, and then he pins Chris Jericho tonight. So Fandango wasn't good enough to get the distraction win, but Zack Ryder, you know it, bro. So, yeah, that was pretty much that segment. Again, a really quick match, and there were a lot of these on the show tonight, so if it seems like our reviews are ones of brevity, it's not our fault. WWE just didn't bother to give any of these things time, so I'm good if you are, bro.
All right. Up next, we had our second match of the night, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. Sasha Banks at ringside. And, if you didn't believe me when I told you that Becky Lynch was one of the best babyfaces in the frickin' main roster, you would after tonight. Because Sasha Banks being at ringside, her mere presence draws the adulation from the crowd. This match started and immediately, we want Sasha chants broke out in the crowd. 5 minutes later, and they were all behind Becky Lynch. She's amazing.
Yeah, she really is. And I'll tell you something, our WrestleMania preview predictions are going to be very interesting when we record those and put those out, because I'm really waffling on the Divas Championship triple threat, especially after the result of this match, because as we already kind of noted at the top of the show, Becky Lynch lost tonight. And I feel like Becky Lynch is kind of, I don't want to necessarily go as far as say the lovable loser of this feud, because she's clearly very credible and she can get the job done.
She's the underdog.
She is the underdog, and she has been lagging behind the other two women, and Charlotte and Sasha, which, by the way, even though you're right, Becky did win this crowd over, they still did want Sasha Banks, and I guarantee you somebody in the back probably gleefully withheld Sasha from them as far as in-ring goes, and they're just thinking, well, that's what you get for rejecting Roman Reigns. You didn't get to see Sasha compete. And then they did an evil laugh of some kind, because, they just love seeing Sasha in the ring.
Ha ha, we like Becky too, shove it.
Yeah, your plan failed like everything else. Good back and forth matchup, and I'm telling you, like, if you remove the shenanigans, if you let Charlotte focus more on being Charlotte and not necessarily Charlotte Flair, the female version of her father, these two women any given night would kill it. And they did start to, pick up steam. But then, Ric Flair trips the foot, boot in the face, which doesn't get the pin. Take notes, Bubba Ray. And then the natural selection follow-up, Charlotte gets the pin and the win. So, good stuff here, good stuff. And yeah, Becky right now kind of lagging behind, but could WrestleMania be her redemption? We'll find out.
Yeah. Up next, this was actually another one of those highlights of the night for me. Renee Young interviewing Vince, but Vince doesn't really get to say much because Shane shows up, and he cut a really good promo here.
Yeah, dude, I really liked what Shane had to say here.
Yeah, talking about how he's going to take the last 40 years of pent-up aggression and anguish and unleash that on Sunday. And then, again, another great line. You stole this company from your father, and on Sunday, I'm going to take it from you.
See, and you know what? A promo like this, something clicked with me when I saw this. First of all, it was still really good. Like, this isn't anything negative. But when you look at the feud and its implications, if I was a kid watching this, I'd be on the edge of my seat. And I will give them credit for that. I just feel like when you get to the age where we are and we know that it's a company like anything else and it has an infrastructure that it adheres to, that's when you really can't get too hyped about a change in ownership because it's just a fresh coat of paint on just, you know, wood that's breaking down. Exactly. But if you're a kid watching this, because I used to tell you and I talk about the early years of our fandom sometimes in casual conversation. I used to tell you one of my favorite things about being a kid was when summertime would roll around, I'd stay up late, I'd get to watch episodes of Raw. Man, it was the best time ever. And if a storyline like this was taking place, I'd be like, oh yeah, Shane, kick his ass. Like, I'd be so into it. So I think that this storyline has the energy, it has the emotion. It does have some flaws writing-wise, which we've already addressed, you know, repeatedly. But it's just a shame that it's not going to mirror anything, you know, internally going on. You know, it's just going to be the exact same thing. There's not going to be any change internally that we're seeing externally. It's just going to be the same old shit, which is really sad because I want to believe everything Shane says. Like, that's the kind of power his words had tonight. It's like, Shane, I want to believe you, but I can't, man. I can't. I'm sorry. But yeah, this was really good stuff. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't going to be any actual consequences or repercussions, but I still felt like this promo was really, really well done.
Oh, yeah, completely agree with you, dude. I mean, you summed it up perfectly. It was really well done. There's just going to be no gravity to it, no consequences to it whatsoever. So.
All right, now, Social Outcasts sitting on the ring. Before anything actually happens, Curtis Axel said, "Happy birthday, Dad." I thought that was awesome. And then Heath Slater starts doing the Social Outcast intro, but is interrupted by The Big Show. And then Kane. And we get a tag team match, Bo and Axel versus The Big Show and Kane. So, just to be clear, I was completely right last week when I said Kane was trying to protect Big Show from the pyro, because now they're best friends again.
Yeah. And it's funny that you call this tag team match because while you are right, all things considered, not really much of a match because this also very quickly gets thrown out.
Right.
And we get our typical let everybody come out and brawl with each other. And Kane and Big Show, the two old guys, stand tall after choke slamming. I mean, both get double choke slams with the respective members of the Social Outcasts. And do you know what this segment really said to me, personally? You know what my reaction to this was? Not pain or any kind of hyperbole like that, but more somberly and more depressed. I really miss Cesaro, man. Because thinking about this Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I would have loved to have seen him come out and hand both of these guys their asses.
Well, that's my thing, too. That's actually one of the reasons why I think whether it's Roman turning or Triple H retaining, our best bet out of WrestleMania is to have a heel with the world title because we have so many people coming back. I mean, Cena, Orton, Cesaro, Rollins, and none of them are going to get booed when they come back.
And, dude, all those guys you listed could be Roman Reigns' heel championship reign because, like, you could get Cesaro in a program. Maybe he comes back with a renewed sense of determination to be in the main event.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that, though, because you do Cesaro first, because obviously they're never going to give him the title, unfortunately. And then you could do Orton as, like, a step up, and, like, he's, like, an actual, like, main event level guy. He's established. Then you could do either Rollins or Cena at SummerSlam, and whether Roman drops it to whoever that is or not, then you can set it up for a big Mania match following that.
Because here's the thing, like, me personally, if Roman does win the championship, which I do think is going to happen, I think everybody and their mother thinks is going to happen.
I've been getting gut feelings that Triple H is going to retain lately.
Oh, well, you know what? We'll save that. I'm not going to really pry now because that's good stuff for preview predictions. But I'll put it this way, if Roman does win, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I will say if. I expect this reign to be a tear. You know what I'm saying? Like, I expect this to really be like a long reign, really eating up the calendar, so to speak. And I agree with you. I think because you're always going to be more sympathetic when you return from an injury, especially when you're out for a long period of time, like a guy like Seth Rollins, and now increasingly guys like Randy Orton, Cena, all that stuff. And even with as polarizing as Cena is, I guarantee, you know what? Roman Reigns might be the one guy to get Cena over because they hate Roman Reigns that much. Yeah. Like, I'm actually curious to see the reaction when Cena and Roman Reigns are in the same ring because you know it's going to happen this year. I would bet the house on it, actually. So yeah, you've got all that set up. And man, it's just, I can't wait anymore for guys like Seth and Cesaro, because I know I've been talking about Seth a lot, but I love Cesaro too. And just seeing those guys just dismantle the social outcasts and stand tall, because, they're the biggest guys, so clearly they have the best chance to win the Battle Royal, right? And, God, Cesaro, where are you, man? Like,
and that's another thing too, I actually forgot, I wanted to bring that up earlier. Last week, the Big Show cut an amazing self-realized, like, I understand what's going on here promo, talking about how, guys, I always like to try and come out here and hype you up about how I'm the greatest giant, and how I'm never going to, I'm going to win the Battle Royal because I'm a giant, but I'm not really that good at Battle Royals. But now tonight, they're literally doing what Big Show said he normally does that isn't smart.
Yeah.
They're literally saying, oh, look, the Big Show and Kane are probably going to win the Battle Royal because they knocked all these guys over the top rope and they're the biggest guys in the match.
That's an excellent point. You can't even be consistent with 1 week's worth of writing.
Yeah,
1 week!
It's gotten to be that bad that they basically said, Big Show, go out there and tell everyone about how bad you are at Battle Royals even though you're big. And then the following week it's, Big Show, go out there and be good at a Battle Royal because you're big.
My God. I mean, more or less, right? Raw should be classified as the same type of show like The Simpsons.
South Park, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, South Park at least, though, has greater continuity these past
over the last couple seasons it does, but before then it didn't.
Yeah, before then I'm just saying any show that has its universe snap back, rubber band after the end of the episode, that's what Raw is becoming. Holy shit.
Yep,
oh my God, I think you fucked with my mind there. Hold on. Holy shit.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your brain.
No, I'm glad you did, because I never thought about it in those terms. The idea that they can't even build on a consistency with 1 week with, something like the Big Show. Now, I'm sure people can say, well, what about Roman and Triple H? But again, the crowd's rejecting that, so I don't really know if you want to celebrate that too much. It's like, so when you do it, you can't win because the crowd hates it. And then when it actually seems like something interesting, like, oh, wow, Show really, he's really dwindling down on his career and he's actually self-aware. Oh, go ahead and dominate the next week. Like, oh my God. Yeah, you know what? This was just a quick thing. They demolished everybody. Let's move on.
Yeah. So, up next, we had Triple H and Stephanie cut the first of their 2 exact same promos. Stephanie does her thing, tells everyone about how much they wish they could be Triple H. Triple H talks about how nobody can achieve their dreams. This feels a lot like the same promo they've been cutting, not just twice tonight, but for the last month now. And the really hilarious thing too is that Triple H says none of the people here are ever going to be champion and achieve their dreams. I mean, Roman Reigns can because he's a once-in-a-lifetime type of athlete. Boo!
Boo!
Like, he tried to give Roman just an ounce of credit and was met with absolute rejection. And he goes on to talk about his own accomplishments and how he's wrestled for the world title at Mania 9 times, and this is going to be his 20th Mania. And then he says, do you want to know why I've accomplished all this stuff? It's because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with this world title. Basically the same kind of, the same jig that he did back with Evolution. And then he said about how, why I decided to get back into the game? It's because 4 months ago when Roman Reigns powerbombed me through the announce table, it lit a fire under my ass that I didn't know was even there to be lit anymore. And then Steph starts talking again and Roman's music hits. And it's funny because this first time there was a pretty nice little initial pop, and I think it's because Stephanie was talking when the music hit, because I think people hate Stephanie, like legit hate Stephanie, whereas Triple H is kind of in like a weird place where the crowds, I mean, he's supposed to be hated and he cuts good heel promos, but the crowd still loves him because he's gonna, beat up Roman Reigns. But yeah, there was a nice little initial pop for Roman's music this first time, but then the boos started rolling in and he got massive heat. And yeah, this was interesting because Triple H, kicks Roman a few times, gets cheered, and they have their little exchange where every time Roman does something, he gets booed, and every time Triple H does something, he gets cheered. Triple H ends up getting kicked and rolling out of the ring. Stephanie is still in the ring while Roman's in there. And Roman just kind of stares at her and lets her roll out of the ring, and he got booed for that too. So not only does he get booed for attacking Triple H, but he also gets booed for not attacking Stephanie.
Which should be a credit to Stephanie, because she is such a heel that the crowd's pretty much saying, we want you to just beat this woman within an inch of her life.
Yeah.
But, going over the promo again, Ashton, just again to me, it just seems all wrong, because even though Triple H said it with a certain tone and a certain aggression, right? When you really unpack the promo, Triple H is saying, well, I'm obsessed and I thought I could be cool with it, but then this young upstart came, he disrespected me, and I thought maybe that people forgot who I am. So it's pretty much like, well, I don't know if I'd call Triple H a legend, but in his own mind, at least, this legend being disrespected by this, up-and-coming performer. And I guess there is that certain level of sympathy there, especially, I guess, if you are, an Attitude Era fan, or this, that, and the other, because it's like, yeah, who does Roman Reigns think he is, disrespecting a guy like Triple H? And that doesn't work in his favor. Nothing is working in Roman Reigns' favor, and it's just utterly laughable. And really, too, another thing that I thought about while this was happening, how do you expect the crowd to give a shit about Roman Reigns when you at least credit him for being a once-in-a-lifetime performer, when the best you would give a guy like Daniel Bryan, which they loved, who they loved with everything, oh, he's a B-plus player, that's it, not Mania main event worthy. It's not, there's too many disconnects, man. It's just not going to take off the ground. Oh, my God.
I don't understand how Roman is anything but a B-plus player at this point.
Yeah, well, depending on crowd reaction, that may even be generous. You might be grading on, a college curve, because holy shit.
No, but I think that the B-plus thing, it's not what you are, it's what your ceiling is. The Authority always thought that Daniel Bryan's ceiling was B-plus player.
Right.
And that's kind of because with Roman Reigns, it's funny because, this is the second time now during a major push that he's gotten injured.
Yeah.
Remember, the first time there was that SummerSlam match against Orton that he won, and then immediately he got injured and he was out for 4 months with an injury. And now, on the road to WrestleMania, between the pay-per-view before WrestleMania and WrestleMania itself, he got hurt and had to have some kind of nose surgery done, and it was legit apparently. But how is he not injury prone? But Dolph Ziggler and guys like that are.
I don't even know, dude. Probably because they
and especially too when one of Dolph Ziggler's injuries wasn't even his own fault; it was Jack Swagger's.
I know, dude. I know. Probably because Vince sees dollar amounts in Roman Reigns. Don't ask me where. Where he apparently can't even locate him in a Dolph Ziggler or other performers that have gotten that label. I feel like Barrett this last run's actually managed to stay far healthier than Roman Reigns these last few months, or this last year, really. Just crazy. But yeah, doesn't get over. Would be even worse the second time around, but we'll get into it. I have nothing more to say about it if you want to move on.
Okay, up next, The New Day comes out. And, there were a lot of over baby faces tonight. Admittedly, Roman Reigns was not one of them, but there were a lot of over baby faces tonight. I think the most over baby face of the entire night, though, was The New Day.
I'd have to agree, man. This crowd was so pro New Day.
They were buying into every single thing that The New Day did or said.
Yeah, dude. Ate that shit up.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Dude, all it took was for Xavier to say, "We are the New Day," and the crowd popped big.
Yeah. This is a crowd that really appreciates the New Day.
Yep.
I freaking loved it. I'm sure one of them tweeted about how great that was. I'd be surprised if they didn't, because that reaction it was an ovation, just like earth-shattering. Yeah, they do their usual shtick, get the crowd nice and hot. They actually did say New Day rocks, not New Day sucks. They got really into it. Then you have League of Nations, and, we've been using vacuums a lot lately, that term. And boy, anything can suck the energy out of the room, it's League of Nations. I even tweeted, it's a shame, babyface or heel, that it all culminates at WrestleMania. Not saying the title reign's going to end, but that New Day's WrestleMania program was actually League of Nations. I still feel like it's a disservice to them, because their work with those tag titles has been of such quality. They deserve much better. But regardless, Kofi and Alberto have a good back-and-forth matchup, but again, the New Day get the upper hand on League of Nations. Now, I will say this. Apparently on SmackDown last Thursday, Sheamus beat Kofi Kingston, but that's SmackDown. I like how on the live show, the flagship show as they call it, you still can't let the League of Nations get anything except maybe a post-match beatdown, with it, which they didn't even get that tonight. And as far as wins go, New Day just has League of Nations number. I have never seen such a one-sided feud going into Mania, particularly on this card, than this matchup. Why should I care when League of Nations doesn't look like they stand any chance against the New Day this Sunday? It's just ridiculous. You could have at least had Del Rio win grabbing Kingston's tights, out-cheating the New Day, but no, you have Kingston get the roll-up and get the win. Now, I'm happy for the New Day, build that momentum, but if you're looking at this objectively, there is no investment in the heel side whatsoever, and League of Nations is definitively, at this point, the heel side. Where is the sympathy for the baby faces? I don't see it. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on this match. Do you have anything you want to add before we get into the
What do you mean
post-match?
when you say there's no sympathy for the baby faces?
Well, I just feel like I can't really sympathize with the New Day when they're handing League of Nations their asses. I mean, yeah, League of Nations beat them down,
right,
but that's only because New Day has their number.
Well, I think it's kind of a built-in sympathy card when it's 4-on-3.
I mean, I guess you have a point there.
Because I think that's what from what I understand, it's going to be 4-on-3 at WrestleMania for the titles.
And see, I did not know that. I thought it was going to be a 6-man tag. I guess that changes things slightly, because they do have a man advantage. But still, though, New Day is so dominant on TV, with the exception of that SmackDown, which I already said. When it comes to the Raw product, yeah, just on a freaking roll, man. It's crazy. So they get the win, they're dancing, and then Coach comes out, which, I'll be honest, got a nice pop from me. Fucking love the Coach. And,
I just imagine Byron Saxton keeps a picture of the Coach next to his bed, and every night when he goes to sleep, he goes, someday.
Yes.
That's what he's aspiring to be.
So Coach, more or less, he comes out, he announces that SportsCenter is going to be giving wall-to-wall coverage, more or less, of WrestleMania before the show starts, which I think is really cool.
That is cool. Are they basically just dedicating all of Sunday on ESPN to covering WrestleMania? Because that's amazing, if so.
Yeah, probably, and it's a shame that it's not a more hyped WrestleMania. Really,
yeah.
Finally,
they're gonna find, dude. This is what you need to understand about ESPN. There doesn't actually need to be a story. ESPN will find a way to make it interesting.
There you go.
Or at least in their minds, they'll make it interesting, because ESPN are the masters of generating headlines and stories and just everything like that, even if it doesn't matter. Even if, I remember at one point a couple of years ago, there was this huge article that came out on, I don't remember what the name of the website was. It wasn't like The Onion or anything like that. It was a legit website. And it was talking about how there was one show early on in the day on ESPN, and Ron Jaworski, who is a former quarterback, said something about how Colin Kaepernick has all the tools to be one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. And they took that and they made it a topic of discussion on 3 different shows later on that day. They got a headline out of it on their website. They blew that one little quote up. Even though he didn't say that the guy is the best quarterback, he said he has the tools to be this. They take these little tiny tidbits of nothingness and turn it into huge stories. So there is no better company to create hype for WrestleMania than ESPN.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Well, I just got handed my ass on a silver platter.
Just saying, man. Like and you say you got handed your ass. They like to pull things out of theirs.
Yeah, but you know what? That is going to be a vital skill for this WrestleMania card.
Yeah.
Oh man, and then Coach caps off the segment by dancing with the New Day. And can I just say, and I know you can relate to this, Ashton, because you and I come from similar eras somewhat. Coach finally was able to dance without The Rock shoving him out of frame. Finally got to dance full on, uninterrupted. You go, Coach. And with the New Day, no less.
Never before happened.
Never again. Once in a lifetime.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
So I did enjoy that, but with that said, we can move on.
All right. Up next, we had... What did we have next? Man, this was a... Oh, did we talk about the match itself, Kingston versus Del Rio?
Yeah, I said it was a good back and forth, but ultimately Kingston won with the roll-up.
Yeah, dude, but I gotta point out, Kofi pulled a Trevor Lee in this match. He did a jumping double stomp while Del Rio was still standing. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was really good. I have to give Kingston credit there.
I mean, if we're just talking in-ring, that was my spot of the night.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, man. That was impressive.
But then we got another one of these Please Cheer Roman segments. Renee Young interviewing Roman Reigns. And the interview itself never even starts because Bubba Dudley shows up off frame and he's just like, "What's up, Roman? You want to finish what we started last Friday on SmackDown?" Or Thursday. I keep on thinking SmackDown's on Friday for some reason. Thursday. But then he backs up and Roman's kind of walking forward and Bubba's backing up. And, you know, when a guy challenges you to a fight and then immediately starts backing up, you know there's something going on. And then Devon shows up and Roman, like, punches Bubba and is taking on both of the Dudley boys at once. But then Triple H shows up. And we get a 3-on-1 beatdown. And Triple H, you know, eventually the Dudley boys just kind of walk off. I guess Triple H was content with the beatdown. And he tells Roman that his dream is over. And then he slams his face onto the title.
Dude, this whole thing was so contrived. And I mean, clearly it was meant to be because they were luring Roman into a trap. But I mean, like, you just knew that this was going to be something where they spring it on Roman and the commentators are going to be like, "Oh, come on. Hey, you stop that. Hey, stop it. Come on." Like, I don't know, man. I got nothing in me to give a fuck. And then Triple H, I don't know, maybe it's just me looking for a reason to complain, but then when Triple H was picking up Roman by the head just to slam him back down again, that just looked so awkward to me.
Yeah.
You know? Just like, oh, come on, Roman, you gotta help me up here. Bam! Back down again.
That really was. It was, too, because it was like Roman was like overselling being knocked out.
Yeah. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on,
and
man.
The crowd was still cheering for Triple H.
Dude, like, you know, you and I have talked about a certain concept, because you and I, we talk everything, like politics, science, all that good stuff. And I know we've talked about the concept of cognitive dissonance before. It is really bad in that writer's room, and mainly with Vince and Kevin Dunn. Because the evidence is overwhelming. We don't want Roman Reigns. Hell, I don't even think they want this match. I still believe that they would have taken Dean Ambrose versus Triple H as the main event this year, and Triple H versus Roman Reigns. And they're not listening. Your last chance to steer the ship off course was Roadblock, and you had no title changes, pretty much nothing on that show. It was a glorified house show.
Right.
And then to do something like that, because clearly the Dudleys are the top heels in 2016, they can get us the sympathy for Roman Reigns that he needs. Nope. Just, oh my, what I saw was a bunch of older guys ganging up on Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns overselling that beatdown. I'm sorry, I can't be anything but jaded when you put this on my screen. It's horrible. Oh. Anyway, do you have anything else to say about this, or can we stop the pain and move on?
Well, I mean, we can move on, but, you know, I think the great thing is, when something happens on Raw that's actually good, it's such a nice breath of fresh air when everything else is such garbage. And we got a pretty good segment up next.
Which was?
Kalisto versus Connor.
And I agree, this was well done. I mean, this was, and I liked what they did, because this is almost like a squash match, but in reverse. It wasn't the bigger guy squashing the smaller guy. This is the smaller competitor really handing the ass of the bigger competitor right back to him. And I think what I like best about this match, Ashton, to be quite honest, was the finish. And that's not to be snarky like, oh, the ending, but how he set up his finisher, the Salida del Sol. You know, you and I have been remarking from time to time about that finisher, about how he may even go further than Ray if WWE really got behind him and wrote him consistently well and booked him consistently well, because his finisher isn't as contrived as the 619 is. And I think tonight was just further proof of that, because he hooks Connor in it, and what does he do to get the upstart of momentum? He runs along the ropes, and it just carries him the rest of the way through. I really liked how that was done, man. I thought this was a solid match.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was a really good match. I thought Kalisto looked great. The one complaint I might have had going into this match is that Connor didn't have any credibility, so Kalisto beating him didn't mean anything. But, we want to ask for squash matches to come back, and when we get one, I think we need to embrace it, because that's basically what this was, and I appreciate them for doing it.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. This was well done. Kalisto rolls on to Mania this Sunday. Ryback does come out, though, has a stare down with Kalisto, and he ends up doing the Feed Me More taunt. Ashton, what do you think about Ryback bringing back Feed Me More, at least for this one little segment here? Because it feels like he hasn't done it in a while. He's refrained from doing it when he's competing. Is this just more about Ryback's indecisiveness, or did you not like this, or did you not care, or where were you with this?
No, I in my head, this was more a gauge for how over heel Ryback is. Because I don't know if you noticed, but he was doing the Feed Me More chants, and the crowd was kind of doing it along with him. But as soon as he stopped, they stopped. Whereas if he was still beloved by the crowd always keeps doing Feed Me More after he stops.
Right.
So to me, this felt more like a gauge of like how much heat does this new heel Ryback have?
Right. I see what you're saying.
And I think the answer is quite a bit.
I can always count on you, Ashton, to put things in their proper perspective. Because at first this kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, it is kind of confusing on the surface, but I guess I'm just the expert at reading way too far into things and coming up with nonsensical answers that probably aren't even true.
Hey, you put more effort into it and doing it well than WWE does. At least you give a shit more about what they're doing with their product than they appear to.
And this is the point in the show where we get to plug Lucha Underground. This is only part 1.
Yeah.
Because Lucha Underground actually cares what goes into their product, and the best part is they actually care about their fans, too.
Exactly. They give a shit about us, and just for future reference, people, whenever I use the hashtag, or whenever I say in a tweet, or whenever I say anywhere watching a Raw, stop the pain, what I'm really saying is, please let it be Wednesday for Lucha Underground. Just stop the pain is more succinct.
Stop the pain, yeah, because Lucha Underground is the Band-Aid to Raw's open wound.
Exactly. So, with this squash match, behind us, let's move on.
Okay. Up next was a quick little pre-commercial segment where Paul Heyman was standing outside Brock Lesnar's locker room. He knocks on the door, and he opens it just enough to say, "My beast, your public awaits." And then he walks in, the crowd pops, go to commercial, and when we get back, out come Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, and as per usual, Heyman cuts a phenomenal promo.
He does. I really enjoyed Heyman's work here. You can always count on him to make a match feel big. Pretty much says, look, I'm not going to come out here and say, the Beast, the Conqueror, this and that. But, he does say, talking about this match with Dean Ambrose, Dean's smarter than a lot of people think that he is, because everybody just thinks that he's crazy. I see an intelligent competitor because he thinks to himself, oh, if I take this NCAA, collegiate athlete, if I take this UFC cage fighter out of his element into a street fight, well, then I can win. I can actually put up a fight. But then he just more or less tells Dean, you don't realize what you're dealing with, because no matter what the circumstances are, Brock Lesnar is more or less going to destroy you. And I love how he actually repeats what he said when Brock Lesnar, was on the road to ending The Undertaker's streak. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. Just pretty much saying he is going to tear Dean Ambrose apart. And he's just made it worse for himself because weapons are not only legal, they're encouraged. So, Batista, how you doing? Yeah, dude, I loved Heyman's fire here.
That was so great, too. I was thinking about Batista that whole time, because that's exactly what he should have said, but he said, they're allowed.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, man, yeah. And then you have Dean come out, and I personally liked what he did here. Now, maybe, I don't know how people felt about him bringing out the wagon. Maybe they thought it was a bit cartoonish or whatever. I thought it was right in line with what we could expect from Dean Ambrose, particularly with this build. But what I really liked, because it's the little things, because I notice with any other babyface, they come out, they get their game face on, they puff their chest out, and they say, Brock, I know you've go through list, but I'm different, Brock. I'm gonna be, and it's the same thing. Kind of reminds me of that DBZ abridged joke where Freezer keeps count of how many times the good guys say certain lines. I'm starting to do that mental checklist with Brock Lesnar opponents. I'm gonna burn Suplex City to the ground, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that. Dean Ambrose doesn't bother with that. He's just busy collecting weapons so he can continue to prepare for Mania. He doesn't even acknowledge Brock Lesnar.
That was my favorite part of this segment after Heyman's promo.
And that's what made me love it altogether, dude, because it was different. And that's the perspective that I looked at it from when I told you this was my segment of the night. Because any other babyface would have felt the need to get a microphone and try and match Heyman's promo with some grandiose statement of their own about how they're going to beat Lesnar and they're not going to go down without a fight. And and Ambrose, to his credit, he's already said, you know, in past instances, yeah, I'm probably going to go to Suplex City, but it's going to be a fight, this and that. He knows he's already said it. So what does he do tonight? He prepares for the fight by not even looking Lesnar in the face and gathering as many toys as he can to inflict the most pain on Brock Lesnar. I freaking loved it. I love the work from Heyman. I love the work from Ambrose. And I'd say I love the work from Lesnar, but he just kind of stood there being intimidating. And quite honestly, that's good enough for me. So all around, this was fantastic.
Yeah, this was great stuff. Up next, though, was our sixth match of the night, Paige versus Emma, and It was awesome to see new Evil Emma back on the main roster, but it was quickly overshadowed by, can I say it without cracking up, All Red Everything.
Oh, dude, you were so close.
I got through it, and then I laughed.
Yeah, I felt that slight crack after everything, and then, he just had to let it go. The dam was flooded.
Oh, my God. Dude,
but you know what?
The good news is she might not be on NXT anymore, so we have more purity on that show, right?
I guess.
I just imagine Vince on the phone with Hunter, and Hunter's just like, so, who are we gonna do to fill out this 10 Diva tag team match? And Vince is just like, well, we have this Total Divas team. How's Eva Marie been doing? And then Triple H is just like, wait, you don't watch NXT? Vince, she's off. She's awesome, Vince. We can have her ready by Monday. Let's bring her up.
First of all, because TWitWoW, I'm trying to get us back to finding that silver lining, and I know in certain segments you are too, Ash, and it's just Raw lately has made it so freaking hard. Yeah. Emma got the win.
Yeah!
So literally new and improved because she's already starting a main roster record as a heel better than it ever was as a babyface. I don't even know if she ever won a match as a babyface.
Yeah, that's true, but she also won thanks to ref distraction plus Lana kick.
But that's okay because she's a heel. I can accept. Yeah. At least that's logical.
I just really, really want to see her put people away with that curb stomp Emma Lock combo.
I get what you're saying. While it may be logical because she's a heel, it doesn't change the fact that NXT did it better because she was a credible heel.
Exactly.
And did things on her own merits. Yeah. So yeah, I can concede that ground to you, but you know what, dude? You know the kind of Emma fan I am. I'm gonna revel in the win no matter how she got it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But then to get back to the pain.
Is Emma your female Johnny Mundo?
Yes. And one day she'll come back to me. But you know what? No. You know what? She made her bed with Long Island Ice, so she could just lie in it. I don't care. I don't. But Eva came out. And honestly, folks, I don't normally do this. I don't. But you guys know we did live reactions. I'm looking at them right now. And by far, my favorite comment that you guys left so far, keep them coming, it's on the channel. Alex Foster, who is also becoming one of my favorite tweeters, me and him interact on Twitter quite a bit. Raw's never made me cry before, that might make it a first. Like, that says everything. It's one thing to say it was bad, it's even another thing to say it was utter shit. But to say, this product's never made me cry before, this might do it. Holy mother of God. Have you really done something, WWE? And, you know, I've seen the debate already on the video, guys, about how, well, oh, it's Team Total Divas. But I think, Ashton, you had a great counterpoint. It's supposed to be a babyface team. Because Brie's been getting attacked and bullied by Lana. And she's putting this team together that have been all babyfaces. And then you have Eva come out. I don't understand. I am having this huge disconnect. And like I already told you in conversation when that segment ended, you just know that she's going to make the blind tag in that match, whoever did the work, probably Brie with the Bella Buster, and get the pin. My pain. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, you know, I will say, I do think that Eva is probably going to do something heelish at WrestleMania to kind of maintain her status. Or alternatively, we could kind of have that swerve that I was kind of expecting tonight based on the Divas' reactions and have them be like, you know, Eva, you might be a total diva, but we still all hate you. This isn't actually going to happen. You're not actually going to be on our team. We've handpicked our 5th team member, and then Q Bailey, and then Q, well, she's not a total diva, but she's actually a face, so she fits better. And yeah, that's an option. I doubt they'll do it, but at this point, I'm expecting Eva to just like steal a pin or something shady.
I know you said you don't think they're going to do it, but can I just kind of run with what you just said for a second?
Sure.
Because that really got the gears turning.
No, John, not allowed to.
Well, damn it, man, I'm sorry. But that really made the gears turn because that just screams to me, even the way you phrased it, SummerSlam 2010, Team WWE versus Team Nexus, when Miz came out to volunteer for Team WWE, like, all right, guys, all right, quit pulling my leg, you got me. And then they're like, no, we're not using you. We're using Daniel Bryan. And then they had the whole Miz Bryan program. Honestly, if you really want to use Eva as a quality heel and give Bayley a nice catapult as a babyface, maybe Eva should be her first program. I know a lot of people cringe hearing that, but then it's just going to make it that much more worthwhile when Bayley has quality matches after the fact. So I'd actually really love that idea. Eva thinks she's going to be a part of the team. They fake her out, be like, no, you may be a total diva, but you suck, so you're not going to be on our team. Cue Bayley. Eva gets jealous. Maybe she even attacks Bayley at one point in the match. You could decide from there whether you want the heels to go over or somehow maybe the babyfaces pull one out of the hat and they win. And then you do an Eva Bayley program for a little bit, at least until Extreme Rules, and then you can move on to do whatever.
And I think we've been proven in the past that if anyone can bring a decent match out of Eva, it is Bayley.
And that's another reason why I'm okay with saying it and why I haven't vomited all over the carpet. Because, you know, we know what they can do on NXT, and I would be okay with a one pay-per-view match program between these two because, hey, it gets Eva Marie back on the main roster and away from NXT for one. It's a great catapult again for Bayley because immediately you're just like, oh man, we love her so much, but we hate Eva so much, go Bayley, kick her ass. Yep. And then you can move Bayley on to whatever you'd want. Maybe, I mean, preferably for me, it would be a heel Charlotte as the ex-Divas champion, you know? But that's just me. Maybe you'd want to do something else. So, yeah, I actually love your idea, which makes it all the more tragic that it's not even
going to happen. Yeah.
So, fuck that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Do you want to move on? Because up next was the Golden Truth segment.
Which I can't even really give coverage to because we were both laughing so hard from the Eva segment and still recording that I had it on mute.
I mean, mostly me, but yeah, we were both laughing.
Yeah, mostly you, which was great. I was laughing more at your laughter because it was just infectious because I was too busy crying on the inside over Eva that I couldn't turn it into laughter. I'm like, oh, where's my life going right now? But, Yeah, Golden Truth. Didn't R-Truth, like, blow his nose on a potential Golden Truth t-shirt or something and then hand it to Goldust?
I think it was just a Goldust t-shirt, honestly.
So, like, is Truth dumping Goldust again? Where are we? Why am I even asking questions like I give a fuck? I don't.
Exactly. That's my question. I don't.
Let's move on.
Okay. Up next was a 6-man tag. Stardust, The Miz, and Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and Sin Cara. And this was a solid match. However, I will say I felt like it went on a little bit too long. And then Sami Zayn pinning Kevin Owens in the end. Just why?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, can I just say, credit to Kevin Owens for bucking up and actually being a team player. Not just a team player, an inspiring figure. Did you see him cheering Miz on the apron? I mean, what a true leader Kevin Owens is, first and foremost. He really doesn't get his due in tag team matches. Everybody always likes to be like, oh, but Kevin Owens abandons me. Kevin Owens is this. Yeah, quit your crying. All right, so Kevin Owens, first of all, amazing. Second of all, I do agree with you in all sincerity. I do think it's a mistake to have Sami Zayn pin Kevin Owens. You know, before WrestleMania, the idea that they have this huge rivalry, Sami really should be this scrapper, this sympathetic underdog of a babyface, and he's already kind of toppled the Giant, albeit in like a tag team format. But, I mean, maybe in WWE's mind, they want to give the grease to the wheel early and really get things moving. I don't know now if Sami's even going to win on Sunday, because honestly, that was my initial inclination. Now I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board and rethink some things through. But I really, again, all money's on this being one of the marquee matchups at SummerSlam this year. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
And this will probably be the start of all that, like, oh, well, I beat you, and then, but at Mania, I did this, and Money in the Bank, I did this, and all that good stuff. I wish they could have did it a different way. I mean, you've had Miz eat the pin 1,000 times already. What's 1,001 going to do for his career that the first 1,000 really had?
Well,
so,
I mean, the one thing I'll add is that I did like that the Miz and Stardust finally got a little bit of retribution, just, you know, abandoning Kevin Owens and kind of getting that revenge, but still, Sami, I don't, it's like and that's the thing too, is you can't even expect them to realize it at this point, because there's no freaking way that they actually realize that Sami Zayn has literally never beaten Kevin Owens one-on-one before.
Right.
But it's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, Sami Zayn pins Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, even though I have no idea why, unjustly gets left by his tag team partners. And that's where we're at right now. So, yeah, anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so. Let's move on. Up next was a bit of a rundown of what we're going to see on the kickoff show. The Usos versus the Dudley Boys. Team Total Divas versus Team Bad and Blonde. And they didn't actually mention this, but we already do know that the armbar is also going to be in the pre-show. So that, I mean, we're actually going to get to live react to the pre-show, because it actually looks like there's some stuff on there that would be worth reacting to.
Yeah, aren't there like 3 or 4 matches on the pre-show, it feels like? Because they got the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I felt like the Usos versus the Dudleys was on the pre-show.
I mentioned that.
And you did. And then, yeah, so yeah, we've got like 3 matches, I think. So, wow.
Yep.
That's, wow. All right, so yeah, I mean, what do you have to say about this? What do you think?
I'm excited, honestly. I'm more excited for preview and predictions than anything, honestly.
Yeah, preview and predictions I think is going to be a lot of fun, because I really don't know where I sit with a lot of this card, save for a few matches, and even that could change before long. But yeah, preview and predictions is going to be just freaking great, man.
Yeah. So let's move on to our final segment of the night. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon out for another promo. This time, Stephanie starts, and then Triple H starts talking, and when Triple H is talking, Roman's music hits. And because it was Triple H talking when Roman's music hit this time, there was no initial pop. It was just nuclear heat from the word go.
Yeah. And then they do this beat down, and then you have the heels come out and restrain Roman. I thought they were all going to gang up and beat him down, but they were really just to restrain him so Triple H could get the upper hand.
Dude, that was dumb in and of itself, because Stephanie calls all the heels down, and their job is to restrain Roman so that Triple H can get pot shots in. But then when all the faces come out, they end up switching sides, and the heels end up restraining Triple H. It was really dumb.
I guess maybe because it's like, well, the numbers aren't on our side anymore, and then they wanted to restrain Triple H maybe from incurring further damage. I don't know. I'm tired of jumping through hoops for this company to justify their bullshit. But yeah, you have it all break out, and then Roman does the dive, which elicits the "you still suck" chants. This is a colossal failure. Not as laughable as the tug of war from last year, but it's close, actually.
Honestly, I would, it's not as laughable in the sense that it's not, oh, this is actually going to be what we go home to WrestleMania on. It's laughable in that, oh my God, they actually thought this was going to work.
Yeah. And I would say, too, it was laughable in the sense that, I mean, I can't even say it was written well. I wouldn't say it was written atrociously either, like the tug of war, but just the flat-out rejection from the crowd. Like, they didn't give you anything.
No.
Anything. I mean, you have to go to the back and realize that you failed. Like, that's a lot to take. And, man, this just didn't click for anybody at all. I mean, again, "you still suck" chants, as if to say no matter what you do, no matter what death-defying leap you're gonna take, we're still gonna hate you. How does that sit with anyone, especially when you know this story has an objective, and that objective just isn't being met? Really, really bad, man. But yeah, I've got nothing else to say about this. It was just laughable from start to finish. Everything Roman Reigns related tonight was laughable, because they actually thought, well, this didn't work, or this didn't work, or that didn't work, but this'll work, and nothing worked.
Yeah.
You deserve your failure. Roman Reigns deserves
like you
better.
can actually, like, it feels like you can actually see the gears turning in their heads, because they're like, okay, Triple H and Stephanie, we need you guys to go out there and cut an amazing heel promo. And they're just like, we've been doing that for the last month and it doesn't seem to be working. Yeah, just do it better. So they go out and they do their thing, and then they're just like, guys, the 2 times that Roman has been well received in the last few months was when he was beating Triple H up. So let's send him out there, and this was the first segment. Let's send him out there and have him beat Triple H up and stand tall. And then after that didn't work, they say, all right, this isn't working. What is the most well-received segment that we've had in the last 6 months? Taker-Lesnar brawl. Let's recreate that. And they tried, and they failed.
Yeah, and just nothing works. It's like they've thrown everything at the wall, and their heart sinks deeper and deeper into their chest when they just realize nothing is going to stick. Actually, I should say deeper and deeper into their stomach, because it's going all the way down, and just nothing is sticking. So, with that in mind, is there anything else you want to say about this pile of hot garbage? Or are we going to move on?
I'm honestly pleasantly surprised at how short this review has been. I mean, we haven't even reached the hour-and-a-half mark yet, and the last 2 weeks have been over 2.5 hours.
I know, dude, I just think it's because you and I are spent, and at least this crowd was great. I actually think that's part of the reason why. I can at least say Brooklyn was amazing.
Dude,
this crowd changed the game.
That's the perfect way to get into our next segment, actually.
Yeah, high spots and low shots. And you know what? Brooklyn didn't pull any punches. Neither will I. I'd say my low shot is Roman Reigns.
Oh,
you're supposed to be a baby face. And this crowd fucking hates you. You had a slight moment of redemption with that dive. And how did the people greet you? You still suck. I mean, I know we usually try and keep high spots, low shots in the kayfabe realm. Yeah. But my God, nobody had a shittier night than Roman Reigns. Come on now. Like, I couldn't even pretend, oh, well, this guy because he ate the pin. No, Roman Reigns is the clear-cut low shot. I'm taking a liberty here. It's WrestleMania week. I think we deserve it after the Raws we've had to endure. Roman far and away the low shot tonight.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm going to be that guy that sticks to kayfabe then. My low shot is going to be Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
For the first time in their WWE careers, he was pinned by Sami Zayn tonight, and that's a little bit of like an end of an era for him, because that was a big deal that he could hold over Sami's head.
Yeah, well, I mean, NXT knew that. Like, I don't know. I would have loved Sami's first pinfall victory over Kevin Owens. I mean, ideally to be at this WrestleMania, but we couldn't even get that period because it's a multi-man match. But at SummerSlam, just that big moment of triumph, and you squander it in a tag match. That really doesn't even matter. So, I completely agree with you, Ashton. Kevin Owens is the low shot. My high spot, honorary high spot, this Brooklyn crowd. This Brooklyn crowd is.
Well, I was just actually getting ready to say, do you want to just call the Brooklyn crowd our co-high spots?
That works for me. That works for me.
I don't think anyone that was actually on this show has more of a right to call themselves the high spot than that crowd.
I completely agree. Just amazing from beginning to end. And you know what else I really liked about this crowd? And I'm sure you share the opinion since it's a co-high spot. They weren't even one of those crowds that like started out good or became obnoxious later. I felt like they were good the entire 3 hours. That's a rarity. Yeah. That is a rarity, and I think Brooklyn pulled it off in my opinion. Brooklyn, you're fucking awesome. With that said, since that's your co-high spot, let's move right on to Raw Request. And honestly, it's going to be difficult for a Raw Request because the Raw, after WrestleMania is the post-WrestleMania Raw,
Yeah,
obviously.
I think that in previous years we've just skipped Raw Request entirely on the pre-WrestleMania Raw because, here's what I'll say. My Raw Request is don't let Shane McMahon winning at WrestleMania be a worthless stipulation.
There you go. You know what? Because we co-signed on high spots, I'll co-sign on to your Raw Request because I really can't think of anything better knowing that it's the post-WrestleMania Raw, so I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
So with that said, do you have anything else you want to say about the go-home Raw before WrestleMania this Sunday?
Believe it or not, brother, no.
All right, me either. With that said,
mostly
guys,
because we're saving everything for our preview and predictions, but also
yes,
because this show's not worth our effort.
Yes, true on both counts. With that said, this has been Raw. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Just post your WrestleMania. No, we'll do that on preview predictions. Okay. This week, let's see. Wow. Let's look at the pre-show. Who do you think is gonna win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal?
There you go. I like that. Who do you think is gonna win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? Get that conversation started down in the comments below, and be sure to take that conversation to the Facebook group TWitWoW. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. I'd say there are a lot of WWE fans there. I'm just going to say there are a lot of people that watch WWE there because I don't know who could really be a fan right now. So you'll be right at home. Also, be sure to check out the TWitWoW Facebook page. Like, share, and comment on the content there. If Facebook really isn't your medium of choice, we are also on Reddit. On Reddit, you can find all of our TWitWoW content, and members of the TWitWoW subreddit can create threads of their own on all things related to pro wrestling. However, if you want to get on the ground floor, if you want the most intimate TWitWoW experience by knowing what we think directly, you can follow us both on Twitter. I am at John_TWitWoW. Ashton is at apond404. That's the letter A. Pond, the body of water, Pond, 404.
It's always funny to me that you spell mine out, and yet I guarantee you there are at least 2 or 3 people out there that are trying to figure out why JON_TWitWoW isn't on Twitter.
Yeah, you know what? That's a fair point. I guess starting on our next review, because I'll do it here, but I'll do it more formally next review, it is JOHN. I notice a lot of that in the comments, too. I don't mind it, because I know you guys always mean well. But yeah, I'm JOHN, not JON, because I'm one letter better than everybody else. So, with that in mind, what I'm going to do tonight, guys, is, because I'm looking at it right now, I am going to go through the entire TWitWoW itinerary for you guys to get you guys pumped up for TWitWoW WrestleMania week.
That's
so,
right.
We already check off now, mercifully, I'm sure for a lot of you, Raw and Raw TWitWoW, which was far better than the show tonight, obviously. Now, Wednesday, you can look forward to Lucha Underground live reactions, and then subsequently, Lucha Underground TWitWoW. That's the more calm, analytical, really looking at the show, unpacking it, deconstructing it. And then after that will be NXT TWitWoW. Then Thursday, we have got NXT TakeOver Dallas. Preview and predictions, guys. This card is looking stacked. Both preview and predictions videos that we have coming up, I am very much looking forward to. Both for very different reasons, oddly enough, but Great discussion is the common element that binds them. Friday, it'll be NXT TakeOver Dallas live reactions. I expect us both to lose our minds. I mean, Bayley versus Asuka, American Alpha versus The Revival, Joe Bauer 2. You know it's going to be insane. I'm wondering what my lung capacity is going to be when it's over. Then Saturday, we have got WrestleMania preview and predictions. We have been talking about it for a while now, going through every Raw, virtually every SmackDown. Now we're really going to sit, unpack this show, go pillar to post, match for match. It's going to be amazing. And then Sunday, WrestleMania live reactions could be potentially the most memorable live reactions in TWitWoW history, because either this show is going to be horrendous and you're going to get a barrel of laughs from us because we're going to be ripping on it the entire time, or they may pull a rabbit out of the hat, in which case I may not have a voice left. Anything's possible, right? But then the fun doesn't stop there, because then we complete the circle the following Monday with post-WrestleMania Raw live reactions. Could we react to a Finn Balor vignette? A Bayley vignette? Are we going to get some shocking bombshell from Shane McMahon?
Enzo and Cass might debut.
Enzo and Cass might debut. You want wall-to-wall coverage? You want pure balls-to-the-wall fandom? You have got TWitWoW post-WrestleMania Raw live reactions to look forward to. And guys, I know you're anticipating it. I'm anticipating. You guys anticipating it. It is going to be crazy. If you are a TWitWoW fan, first of all, welcome. Second of all, Merry Christmas, because this is Christmas come early. I cannot wait for the remainder of this week and then the post-WrestleMania Raw. All that TWitWoW goodness coming your way. And until then, as best as you can, tune in and peace out.